I've been a part of all of it just this year, and I don't know, it's great. It's a great ride. It's a great class too. We're also starting up a cafe now to get some more funding in, for school projects, and yeah, it's cool.
Can you guys talk a little bit more about HeadRush and what it is?
HeadRush is kind of like our website where it kind of like guides you through your projects. So it has a part where it has your rubric. So the rubric you've made, and you put it into HeadRush, and once you've achieved all the steps that you needed, you turn it in, and then you submit it, and then it's another part where it's the type of evidence that you have for your project, whether it's a video, which we also did need to do a 30-second video, yes, even though I didn't like how my voice sounded, but we did a 30-second commercial video about why we did it, and then we would turn that in, and then other people did like websites, which is what I did, and the actual project, which is the actual physical evidence.
And then what HeadRush does is it helps the teacher to align, right, the project to what the Common Core State Standard or what the academic standard would be. And that's how we're tracking that the projects that we're doing actually meet the criteria for credit in science and social studies and math and English and all the classes that you would need for graduation. So that's where you track the actual skills, the academic skills for that content mastery competency is in a platform called HeadRush. And it took us a couple of tries to find a platform that was working well for us, and HeadRush seems to be good. You guys like it, and the teachers seem to like it.
It's playful, self-explanatory.
I've never heard of it.
It's pretty new.
Well,
I also wanted to talk about a project that I also did for another class for my multicultural literacy class. I did a project about domestic violence. It really kind of opened my eyes to what really goes on in the world. When I thought about domestic abuse, I just thought about a woman or a man hitting, another person, or abusing them in any type of way. I never thought of it as, name calling or, like just other things that you would never really imagine. And it kind of really hit home for me because it kind of opened my eyes to how other people act around me. And, it kind of like showed me like, this is the honest truth, and DACI opens my eyes to that. And they let us explore even though it's kind of like hard and, difficult learning about it because not everybody goes through it, they still give us the opportunity to learn about it and to spread that knowledge without any, I wouldn't say boundaries because there are boundaries, but they let us share the information appropriately in a way where we could inform other people and, and feel comfortable, exactly.
So yeah, that is the project that she's referring to was given by a teacher that does advisory, and that's one of the reasons why she was like hand selected to be an advisory. Where advisory is like it's hand selected kids it's given by their grades and how well they're doing in a certain class.
Determination.
Their demeanor, there's a lot in play. So
you have to really want it. And I feel like as seniors, we really want this because the next part of our lives,
it gets real.
It gets real. We're not little. We won't be little kids anymore.
It's when we start taking your guys' seats.
Yeah, making big money.
That's fine.
But yeah, that ties up the presentation. So thank you for your time.
Thank you guys for your time.
Hold on. They might have questions.
Yeah. Is there any questions?
I don't have a question. I just have a comment. It's always a pleasure to see students from DACI come over here and then explain to us that they're learning in a whole different manner. I know Greg and your team over there are just fantastic people, and I'm always amazed that when I go there, I'm seeing and learning different things from all of you. I think I see everybody kind of coming out of their shell and being able to express themselves a lot more than what they were able to in the past. So keep up the good work, and I'm impressed with you coming here this evening.
No.
And
Well,
as
thank
we
you.
push on that being the kind of learning that we're doing in all of our classrooms, it's been great because many of the DACI teachers have been hosting sessions during our professional development days for some of our other teachers to learn how that could look within the structures that they have that are different than what we offer at DACI. So we're seeing a lot of movement, and they've been great leaders for us in that work.
Awesome.
Great.
I agree.
Are you gonna start selling this soap?
Okay, so like a lot of the teachers, like they've been really talking about it, and I mean, not to float my own boat, but I feel like I've been kind of famous around Doc now. And they just really been saying like, oh, like, are you gonna sell your soap? And I said, $1. And then my teacher, Mr. Fromm, he was like, how are you gonna make a profit off that? Because the ingredients cost a lot of money. So it's like, you know, he said, raise it up to $3. And I'm like, $3. So yeah. So I just really been, what I've been really wanting is to smooth out the shape of the soap, because when it goes in the molds, you're transferring it from the crock pot where it has heat absorbing it, keeping it soft, to just, you know, it air dries in literally 2 seconds. So it's so hard to, you know, put it in the mold and make sure it's like soft. So that's one of the most things I struggled with. So like the bars from the first batch that I had made, they're different shapes. They're always supposed to be one rectangular shape, but I shaped them down to where I felt confident in like, you know, it actually looks pretty nice. So they're different shapes, but as soon as I like the image and I like, you know, how it looks, you know, 'cause if I start selling it, that's practically like a and Docky at that fact, so. So it's probably maybe towards the end of the year when I get better at it. Thank you guys.
So we have quite a few things on the legislative update tonight. The first one is Assembly Bill 702. The West Allis West Milwaukee School District has taken the position that Bill 702 as proposed has the potential to significantly and negatively harm the district and the diverse families and the children we serve. The bill, introduced by Representative Sam Filippo and Kuklish, co-sponsored by Senator Kuyanga and Craig, allows the school district of New Berlin to give preference to residents of New Berlin in accepting full-time open enrollment applications. This targets the West Allis West Milwaukee School District enrollment in a way that is unfair and unacceptable. We do not support Assembly Bill 702 because it has the potential to undermine enrollment in the West Allis West Milwaukee School District, move needed resources from a poor and diverse school district to a wealthy and whiter school district, further marginalize poor kids of color, may result in closing of a school and increased transportation costs, and may result in loss of positions for teachers and staff. And there, later on the agenda is the approval of a letter of support that indicates many of the same things. The Wisconsin Senate approves new student restraint guidelines. This one's been in the works for some time as the advocacy agencies that work especially with children with special needs are advocating for far stricter regulations around seclusion and restraint, as those numbers are very high across our state for children with special needs. The Wisconsin Senate passed a bill supported by disability rights advocates and parents that would establish more procedures for when schools restrain a student or place them in seclusion. The disability rights community advocated for improvements to the law after a 2014 study found that 80% of the students placed in restraints or seclusion have a disability. The existing law, passed in 2011, only allows for a student to be physically restrained if they pose an imminent risk to the other's safety. The bill would change how such incidents are reported and tracked. Under the proposal, the State Department of Public Instruction would be required to track the incidents, and schools would have to inform parents if their students were ever secluded or restrained. The measure also requires additional training for school staff on how to calm students before they become violent. The measure has bipartisan support. It has cleared the Senate on a voice vote with no debate, and it must still pass the Assembly and be signed by Governor Tony Evers before becoming law. So you guys get a report each year from our leadership and learning team on the number of incidents of seclusion and restraint that we've had as a school district, which in many schools have gone down significantly as we have more and more teachers participating in PROACT training and learning different strategies around de-escalation. So if the bill goes through and is passed, it won't be anything we haven't been working on as a school district for a while. Some draft bills expanding part-time open enrollment to private school students and others. This first draft of the bill, authored by Assembly Education Chair Representative Jeremy Thiensfeld and Senator Alberta Darling, expands the part-time open enrollment program and renames it the Course Choice Program. The expansion would bring in additional educational institutions and expand the number of grades that may participate from just high school to grades 1 through 12. School budget transparency and uniformity, citing a desire to make school funding more transparent and easy for the public to understand. This bill has been circulated for legislative support by Representatives Mary Falkowski, Gay Magnifici, and Senator Alberta Darling. The proposal would create a committee on uniform school budget and accounting and would require the Department of Public Instruction to, after considering recommendations from the committee, establish a new computerized uniform budget and accounting system for the transmission of financial information from school districts, independent charters, and county children with disability education boards to the Department of Public Instruction. And there's no report for any federal legislative update at this time. For our school district recognitions this evening, from West Allis Central High School, violinist Cecilina Santiago, a sophomore, participated in the Civil Music Association of Milwaukee's high school competition on January 18th, 2020, and was chosen to perform in a recital as a result. The recital performance is on Sunday, February 9th, 2020 at 2 p.m. at the Milwaukee Art Museum. Young Artist Scholarship winners will be announced at the conclusion of the recital. At Nathan Hale High School, Alyssa Noseworthy, a senior, has been selected as a commended student in the 2020 National Merit Program. Alyssa is one of approximately 50,000 highest scoring entrants nationally, which means she is in the top 3%. Violinist Erin Krasovich, a sophomore, received an honorable mention at MISO in the Metropolitan Symphony Orchestra Concerto Competition on January 11th, 2020. The African American Youth Initiative Group, advised by school counselor Ms. Anthony, had their first annual family meal night in December. Over 100 students, participants, family members, and selected staff that each student invited to join together for an evening of community building. Nathan Hale Booster Club names the inductees to the Athletic Hall of Fame for 2020. They are Jamie Turtenwald, basketball, volleyball, and softball, 94 to 98. Carrie Massey, basketball, volleyball, and track, 76 to 79. Richard Dick Spider Lutke, basketball, football, golf, cross country, and track, from 52 to 56. Ron Kurtz, cross country and track coach, 76 to 2014. Special thanks goes to Ron Kurtz for his leadership in establishing the Athletic Hall of Fame and organizing the event. At Frank Lloyd Wright, Mary Pat Michaels, who is at Frank Lloyd Wright, Lane Orchestra Director and District Music Lead, was asked by the Wisconsin School Music Association to be the viola section coach for the 2020 and 2021 High School State Honors Orchestra. Myself, Director of Leadership and Learning, Deidre Raymer, recorded a podcast with Chandler. He's the Director of Operations from the Urban Misfit Ventures, and during the podcast we discussed deeper learning, equity, learner empowerment, authentic experience, and how to best support teachers who are working with learners in new and exciting ways. We got our first business contact from the podcast today because I talked about how we want our kids having those authentic learning experiences. And so a local business that also works with them contacted me today about possibly doing some internships with some of our kids. So the podcast is netting us something at the end of the whole thing.
Great.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And other updates and information items. I don't think we have anything else to report except the PTA Carnival is coming up soon, February 9th, at West Allis Central High School. From 12 to 4. Feel free to attend.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you very much. All right, we'll move on to item 8, the board president's report, taking a look at the board calendar. So tonight, January 27th, we have a regular Board of Education meeting. And then February 10th, starting at 6 p.m., we have a regular Board of Education meeting. And then we will have the closed session meeting, which was originally scheduled for this evening. On Monday, February 17th, starting at 6 o'clock, we will have a workshop, topic to be determined soon. On Monday, February 24th, beginning at 6 p.m., we have a regular Board of Education meeting. Do any board members have any community events or anything? Jeff?
Not a community events, but I just wanted to give a short report on the
Perfect.
WASB convention.
Mhm.
As your delegate there for all the resolutions, I'm not going to go through them all, but all of the resolutions passed except the native mascot one. That got shot down pretty heavily, and it was just basically because they didn't want WASB, the state organization taking away local control from school districts. If a district wants to be named whatever, they think that should be okay. So that's how it got voted down. Then I was able to attend a pre-conference workshop on Tuesday from 1 till 5. Was very good. It was the opportunity of conflict. Those words don't normally go
Yeah.
together, but it turned out to be a very interesting, very educational experience. Then I attended some other ones that I did get the handouts to that I gave to Suzette that she can put on board book, like I did last year. I'm just gonna, there's about 5 of them, just gonna read. One was the, and we've been through this, the operating and principal norms for board members. Then how to deal with negative people and keep from being negative yourself. A salary model for model teachers, that was pretty good because that's something we've been talking about in committee. Fringe benefits for school districts, recent trends in total compensation modeling, staffing roles and responsibilities, onboarding new school board members, and then the use of recording devices in school. Oh, and the last one is responding to public record requests for personnel records. And all the information is there. I don't need to say anything about it. If one of those tickles your fancy.
Great.
Go
And
and
Suzette,
take
you
a
have all
look
of
at
it? Fantastic, okay. Thank you
That's all
again
I
for being our delegate and our representative, Jeff, appreciate it. Anybody else have anything? Noah?
Yeah, I had the opportunity over the last couple weeks to go to Dotke, and I actually was able to see the work that the students had been talking about with the hydroponics station in the old locker room, and also got to see some students working on scale models for some of the other projects that they're working on, the coal project and things like that. So it was really interesting to be able to see them working, see the models, things that they're doing, and I'm excited to go back later on once they've gotten more work done and get closer to the end product. I also was able to go to Mitchell recently and kind of take a look at some of their split classrooms that they have there with the different grade levels, and kind of talk with teachers and see how they're working with the different grade levels together and how that has changed, the challenges they've gone through, and also the benefits that they see going through it. So it was really interesting, and encourage all board members if they have opportunity to do the same in those instances.
Okay. Anybody else? Great, okay. We'll move on to item 9, the consent agenda. Item 9.1, the approval of the minutes from the January 13th, 2020 regular Board of Education meeting and the January 20th, 2020 workshop meeting. Item 9.2, the employment summary. Item 9.3, the supplementary contracts. And item 9.4, the financial summary. Does anyone need anything separated? If not, we'd look for a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any additional comments or questions? Not all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Great, okay, that passes. All right, we'll move on to our action items for this evening. Item 10.1, the international field trip to Argentina for the high school students in July of 2021.
Hi, I'm just gonna pass these out, these came kinda together today. There are comments, student comments from our last trip. There are like 4 or 5 students, and there's about 4 parents, which is kinda, this was like a little evaluation. I asked them to give me some comments about the trip and how it meant to them, so you can look at those later.
Yeah, you bet.
So I'm Bridget Gaboy-Helfenstein, and I'm a teacher at Nathan Hale High School. I'm the matriarch, we'll say, of Nathan Hale. I've been there longer than anyone else since January 17th, 1991.
Congratulations.
You don't have to clap, really. It's okay. I'm hoping they'll keep me there for another 6 years.
That's the plan.
That's the goal. So I'm here tonight to ask for your permission again to continue on our international journeys that we allow our Spanish students, our students studying Spanish from West Allis Nathan Hale and West Allis Central to continue to study abroad in the summer. We're planning a trip to Argentina, South America this time. It'll be the first time that I will have ever gone to Argentina, but it's with the same company that we always tend to go to. The company is Interact Travel out of Green Bay. It's a local, smaller company, but they have organized all of our trips because they allow me to do custom, like what I want to do, more than just like a catalog with specific things. Like I require that our trips have the homestay component as well as the school. So we go to school for a week and we do a homestay for a week in addition to like the traveling. So this will be a little bit more pricey of a trip than we normally go on. I believe that you have the
4,295.
itinerary. It looks like this. It is 12 nights, 13 days, but the reason why it's a little more pricey is because of the flight situation. Argentina is a huge country, kind of like the United States, and so we are flying from Chicago to Buenos Aires, maybe with a stop in between, and then we spend a couple nights in Buenos Aires, and Buenos Aires is kind of like going to New York City. It's that big and that cosmopolitan. And then we fly to our homestay, which is in Cordoba, which is the second largest city in Argentina. And then we're there for a week, and we do our homestay and our school, and then we fly back to Buenos Aires. And then the final flight, we have to fly back to Iguazu Falls. And Iguazu Falls is bigger and more spectacular than Niagara Falls. So it is a huge tourist destination that student groups don't tend to usually go to, but I'm like, dude, we're going to Argentina. We have to go to Iguazu Falls. My hope was also that we would go to Patagonia, which is at the tip, the bottom by Antarctica, but it is winter there in July. And so they said, it would really suck if you got down there and then everything was closed. And as Wisconsinites, we know how that is. So it also would add like a significant more, another $1,000+ to our costs. So we had to forego that, even though that would have been the total dream of like the ultimate. So because of all those flights from Chicago to Buenos Aires to Cordoba, back to Buenos Aires to Iguazu Falls, and then another flight back to Buenos Aires to fly back home. That's like a lot of flights. So it's added an extra $1,000 onto the trip that we would have not liked to have had, but it is what it is. So we are planning to do some significant fundraising, hopefully. Usually I make it up to the parents, but this time for this trip, I'm pretty sure that I'll be saying, okay, we're gonna start ASAP, and worst comes to worst, it's gonna be candy bar sales, and then encouraging the kids, obviously, to get their part-time jobs, because usually they can work it out that way. We do have students every time who do pay for these entire trips on their own accord with their own part-time jobs. It's not every kid by any stretch of the imagination, but we do have students who do pay for it all. Then we have other students that make deals. We always encourage them to make deals with their parents and their grandparents and not get new phones and skip the manicures and pedicures and things like that. But some of our kids feel they need to spend on that stuff too.
Bridget, how many trips is this?
This will be trip 11 for me. I started with my mentor, Olin Bolton, who was a 35-year veteran teacher at Nathan Hale, and John Dewey. That was way before me. But he was my mentor, and we started in 1993 and have been traveling since. We had a break in the middle when I was having kids, but yeah.
What classes go on this trip?
If you've completed Spanish 2, then you are eligible. If you've finished your freshman year in high school, you are eligible. We have students who also have gone through graduation as well, and sometimes it's like a graduation present or part of a graduation present, as long as they are part of our Spanish program when they sign up and hopefully continue. I mean, we have had students who have not been huge successes in Spanish that have gone on the trips, but they've still gotten a huge amount of cultural, exchange out of it, and world, real life experience. So it's obviously a much better experience when they do speak Spanish and they're really into the whole learning. I did find out this weekend on Facebook that one of my students who went to Ecuador with us, she's a senior at Hale, she announced that she's going to go be a nanny and au pair in Madrid or in Spain this next summer, because she loved, traveling so much. And when you have time to peruse those little comments, there's a lot of students and a lot of parents who were like, yeah, my kid grew so much and got so much confidence from these trips. So.
Questions or comments, Dan?
Just a comment, I'm really happy to see that you gave us this evaluation about parents and young children. We don't always get that when people travel, and when you see positive things like this, it's all part of learning. I appreciate that feedback.
Yeah, it was my intention to get like the whole Google form evaluation, and I just didn't get around to it. So then I'm just like, okay, guys, it's school board time. I wanted to bring a couple with me. I thought a couple might show up tonight, but they didn't come, and that's okay. They're all busy just like everyone. So But they did come through with the comments, so,
Right. Well, they're working to pay for the trip.
yeah.
They're busy.
Yeah. Yes, Jeff?
I was just gonna say, I think this kind of takes project-based learning, like,
Oh, absolutely.
higher
This is,
level.
this is deeper learning at its finest.
Deeper
Trust me,
learning, higher-
this is deeper learning.
Yep.
I mean, these kids, I mean, they're,
what a great opportunity.
yeah, they're doing the homestay, they're trying to solve problems, you know, they're getting from point A to point B. If we're in an airport, it's like, okay, so here's our flight number, figure it out, who's gonna lead us, you know?
When I was in Spanish club, we had fun going to Little Switzerland to ski. That was our road trip.
In Spanish club, that wasn't even German,
Yeah,
right?
this was Spanish.
If not, we'd look for a motion.
Move to approve?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any additional comments or questions? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Have
Thank
fun
you very
fundraising.
much.
Thank you for doing it.
All right, we'll move on to item 10.2, the approval of the number of open enrollment seats available for the 2020-2021 school year. Gentlemen?
All right, good evening. We are back for the approval of the open enrollment seats. We were here a couple weeks back, went through a workshop with you. We have updated the enrollment numbers and projections based on the second Friday count, and that ticked the total number of open enrollment seats down just a couple, 8. So really, that's the only thing on the proposal here that's changed. The special education seats have not changed. That calculation still held true. So unless you have any questions?
Then we look for a motion. Moved and seconded. Any additional comments or questions? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. All right, thank you for the work onto that. Appreciate it. All right, we'll move on to item 10.3, the long-range facilities master plan.
Thank you, and good evening again. As we went through the workshop last week, I told you the process that we went through, starting with the issuing the RFQs and posting it in the newspaper, how we ranked and scored the proposals that we received, and the discussion we had after the interview process. And nothing has changed since last week, and so we're here to ask for your approval to extend a contract for architectural services to Gray Architects for the development of the long-range facilities master plan. And also Matt Wolford from Gray Architects, he's the president and also architect, is here if you have any questions or comments you'd like to direct at him.
Questions or comments on the recommendation? Okay, we'd look for a motion.
Move to approve? Second.
Moved and seconded. Any remaining questions or comments? None? Yep. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Great. Onward, so simple, right?
Thank you.
All right, on to the next item.
Thank you for the hard work you've done. Thank you very much.
Item 10.4 is the long-range facilities master plan for the approval of the construction management.
So same as what I said for the architectural services applies here for the construction management. And with us tonight is Dan Davis, who is the Senior Vice President and Managing Director, and also Sarah Dunn, who is the Vice President of Client Strategies from CJ Schmidt.
Comments or questions on
Just
CJ?
a comment. I had a chance to meet some of them at downtown this past week, and I was really impressed with how cordial they were, not even knowing that they had received contracts, and listened to them do their pitch on the side. I was impressed, and I'm also impressed with the way your company has been in its service for quite a long time. I think it's over 100 years, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So that's awesome. That's fantastic. Hopefully.
Careful, haven't done anything yet. No actions yet.